Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's Your Mess with Tracey D. Armstrong. We're here again with another, not just one, but two special guests.
Yay.
Yay, yes. So we're gonna let them introduce themselves, tell you all a little bit about who they are.
Hi, I'm Youlanda.
Jeffrey. And we have been married for at least
should we have
34 years.
It is good. 34 years. Yes, this is Youlanda and Jeffery Britten.
Yes.
That have been married for 34 years.
As of May, it'll be 34.
In May?
May. 34.
This is what, 2024?
Mm-hmm.
34 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. That's
34 years.
My girl's still happy after 34 years.
So I've joined them here in their lovely home to interview them, to talk to them about what's their mess and what's some of the messes, or maybe one mess that they've gone through in their marriage that they can share and encourage those out there who may be experiencing or going through some of the same situations that they may have gone through in their marriage and in their relationship. So tell us, like you said, y'all were married 34 years. Well, it'll be 34 years in May.
Yes.
What's one of the messes? And when I say mess, I'm saying like mental, emotional, social status of life. What's a mess that you all have experienced like in your marriage?
I'll take one. Once we took our vows, we agreed for better, for worse, sickness and in health. Not knowing what the future was going to bring, but there was a time in our journey that my wife took sick. She came down with this thing I had never heard of before called Guillain-Barré. Mm-hmm. And it attacked her body that she had no ability to do anything, control her movements, her limbs. It just started affecting every muscle in her body.
Yeah.
So, no, something happened for a week, couple of days, you're good. But this went on for months. So the things that she used to do as a wife, as a mother, as a business lady, now all of this stuff started to fall on me as the husband. And I still had to go to work. I still had to provide, still had to take care of her and look after her. And she was in the hospital for maybe 3-4 months in critical ICU. And I never got weary. It's as if God gave me a grace to be able to do what I needed to do for the family and still show her that, hey, I haven't left. I haven't gotten weary. I haven't gotten tired. I'm still here for you. And through it all, I think we got even closer. We became stronger. And we have never looked back as a dull moment. That was an opportunity for us to decide on, are you going to make it? Are you for real? Or are you just talking? You just was saying something to get close to somebody's door. But when we took those vows, we meant them. So when that challenge came, it wasn't a struggle. Well, not for me, because I wasn't the one going through. She was the one who has to create in her mind, I got to get over this. I got to overcome. So I know it wasn't just her alone. She's always been a praying woman. And I know God carried her through and God allowed her to overcome that situation. And then I get the benefit because she always saw me there. She said, man, you never left me. You was always by my side. And I just was there doing what I knew to do as a husband, as a father, to continue to provide, to continue to support. And God blessed me in such a way that it was never a struggle. We even had friends who would come in and do what they need to do to assist. So if I needed a couple of hours to get some rest, they was there to watch the kids or do what they thought she needed to do. So it all worked out.
Wow. Yeah. And I've never heard him say that. I know I was there. I was a part of that. But I never, not that I took it for granted, because I asked him often, man, how did you maintain because he said I was in the hospital. I was in ICU critical from February to May. And then I fell and I broke my ankle, and it was a non-union break, which means it was total. And they were like, oh, we can't take care of you anymore. You got to go into a nursing home, a facility. And my husband was like, nope, bring him home. So I came back home worse, and if not worse, the same as when I left. Unable to walk, didn't finish physical therapy, wasn't able to comb my hair, brush, a lot of stuff I couldn't do. But this dude stepped up to the plate, him, and I contribute to my 3 nieces. They were there. And me and my sons talk about it often because they're like, Mom, don't ever leave us and don't tell us you're leaving. Because they were small then. And I didn't know how it affected them as well to come home from school and I be gone all that time. I hadn't ever not been home when they came home from school.
And so, wow,
and it affected the family.
That's what I was about to say, because I was going to say, like, y'all just unpacked like a lot right there. So I want to go back.
Yeah, you sure did.
And with that, I know you said, like, you know, you had God and God made you stronger and things like that, but how did that affect you mentally? I'm going to do both because it's a different perspective, because you just gave your perspective of the situation. And then you said you never really heard his perspective in that way. So mentally, when she did get sick and when she was in the hospital, mentally, how did that affect you?
I never gave it much thought. I just did what I had to do. And just everything just seemed to go smoothly. And because I always trusted God, and it just happened. It was just, God just carried us through. That's why I say the grace. Because it was never a chore. It was never too much. It was never overwhelming. Now that I think about it after it's over, I see why it could have been. But because God carried me through, it was an easy journey. If I had to be at work, I was at work. I got off work, I went to the hospital. Check on her. Then if I had to leave the hospital, come home, watch the daycare, look after the kids, I did that. So, and I just had the energy and the faith, and it was just a smooth journey.
That is so interesting to hear. And then, like, mentally with you, when you just said you heard the kids say you left and you were gone, and they're like, never leave and tell us that you're, you know, they were young. But how old were they? Because you said they were young, so they were still
9, 12.
And you were
my
in the
youngest
hospital
one was
for
like
months.
9 or 10, and my oldest was 12, maybe 13, I think 12, something.
So how did that affect you mentally, hearing them say that?
I did not know that happening to me was such a ripple effect. It didn't just affect me. So let me tell you, the very first thing that I thought when I woke up and realized I could not move. My first thoughts was, oh my God, how am I gonna tell Jeff? So he happened to show back up in the room, and he was like, hey, you ain't got up, daycare kids coming in. I said, oh, throw me something. I'm gonna, can you receive them? But just throw me something. And he just got something out of the closet and laid it on the bed, on the foot of the bed. And I was like, I can't even reach that. So when he came back, he was like, you not dressed yet? You're not getting up? I said, I don't even know how to tell you this. He was like, what? What's going on? I can't reach it. I can't physically, I can't get that. So he literally helped me get dressed and gave me some crutches to help me get myself into the living room so that I could sit and look good when my parents came in. Because I've always wanted to be here when my parents came in. I was not in any pain. I just couldn't move. And so, like he said, a couple of my parents would come and help out.
And when you say parents, let's just make sure the audience knows.
Daycare. I
You
do
have
daycare. I have an in-home daycare.
in-home daycare service.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Not parents, but like the parents of the daycare
children. Correct. So a couple of them took vacations. A matter of fact, one was on vacation when this occurred, and she came over to watch the kids while he took me to the doctor. And it just went downhill from that. Going to the doctor, I was still able to like move, and while being at the doctor, I just lost all ability to move at the doctor's office. And so then they put me in a chair and kind of rolled me around, and still never thought of anything about me. It was like, oh my God, how is Jeff gonna handle this? You know what? And it just, I marvel at the fact that, let me share a story with you. Although I could not do it, although I could not comb my hair, or although I could not brush my own teeth, my mind thought I could. Although I couldn't get up and walk across the room, my mind said I could. And so there would be times I would say, hey, Jeff, I want to go do such and such. And he would be like, Londa, I don't think you can. But not one time did he ever say, no, you can't. No, okay, we'll figure it out. And so he got very, very creative. We had ramps all over the house, so that if I wanted to roll into the room, I could roll into any room in my house. When friends came over, he would roll me out and we would visit or whatever. And then in the end, I'd always have to go back, because remind you, the hospital put me out because I was a liability. I was out of ICU into therapy, and I couldn't do therapy anymore. So they sent me home. Well, they wanted to send me to a facility. And my husband said, no, you're coming home.
So when you came home and you were in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay. So you're in a wheelchair now, and you're not in the hospital, but now you're saying that everything was still, like, for you mentally, you were good, like the grace of God was helping carry you through this, and it didn't affect you emotionally, really?
No, it made me more creative. Because now I had to figure out, how are we gonna get her in the tub? How are we gonna get her in the shower?
Okay.
And our house is not equipped for handicap.
No, it's
right, because you never, I'm just listening, like, you would never think that you'd have to try to figure out how to get into a shower.
And mind you, my mind said I could do this. This was one of the things I said, I can do this. And he would be like, okay, we'll figure it out. And so a couple of days, maybe a week, he'd figure it out. And so it would be like, okay, I want to just stand up. And he's like, okay. And he would put me up against the wall and stand up against me and hold me if I could feel weight in my legs or through my feet. I wasn't standing on my own, but in my mind I was. In my mind, I could do this. And he would be like, I don't know, Londa. And so, yeah, your mind plays tricks on you. I remember one time, this was as it had progressed. This was probably a year or two up the road, but I was still unable to do a lot of things. And a friend of mine called and said, hey, let's go bike riding. I said, yeah, I got a bike. I walked out. I said, okay, Jeff, I'm gonna go ride a bike. And he said, oh, okay, Londa. And I went on out the garage and got the bike. And he came out. He said, hey, you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Mind you, my mind said I could. I had no knowledge of even how to get on the bike. And I kept thinking, what? What is wrong? Why can't? He was like, Londa, I don't think you can do that, but let's try it. So he did me like a little kid, got on the side of the bike, helped me ride. And guess what? For Christmas, I got a big tricycle. Right? He bought me a tricycle. It was like, you want to ride? Okay, let's figure this out.
So was this after you were like learning, you had learned how to like move again or?
Yes.
Okay. So
That's why I say roll forward a few years.
Some years, okay.
Roll forward some years.
Okay.
And this is just still stuff that I thought I could do. That my mind said I could do it. And if I didn't have somebody there to give me a different objective, I could have been in a lot of trouble.
Because your mindset was, but that's kind of a good thing. Your mindset is what kind of pushed you to keep going and keep trying stuff. Because if you would have fallen into the, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that, then you might have stayed in that same position.
But I mean, it was just, now that I sit back, and at that point, we didn't know what it was. Had no idea, hadn't even heard of it. And to know where I was, my muscle mass was under a negative. I was under a negative. And for him to, if I wanted to be on one sofa 1 minute, and I wanted to be in the chassis lounger the next minute, or maybe 5 minutes, because in my head, I couldn't keep time. I didn't keep time. I'd say, oh, can you sit me right here? He'd pick me up, put me right there. He'd walk out and come back. It might seem like an hour to me. It'd been 10 minutes. Okay, now I want to go sit over there. And it was just what my mind was saying. Oh, you can get up and walk over there. And I'll never forget, one of my nieces was here. And I said, hey, if I slide down off of the sofa, I want to see if I can crawl over there. And she was like, before we do that, let's figure out how we're going to get you up off the floor. If you crawl over here, how are we going to get you physically up off the floor? So, I never thought about that. I just planned on sliding over there. And that was just what my mind would tell me I could do. And then I would have other people, and sometimes Jeff would interject and say, oh, let's rethink this. You know, give me, so when I came home to a hospital bed, not my own room, had to be put in another room.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, I want my feet to touch some water. He's like, your feet to touch some water? I said, yeah, I want to feel some water on my feet. So he went and bought a little foot tub thingy and put some water and stood me up in the tub. Well, stood in the foot tub with me so that my feet could feel some water.
That's amazing. Like, okay. Like, okay. I'm just wondering. This is just an extra question.
Amazing, because I had forgot a lot of that.
How did you do it? Like, how did you? Okay, because I know that in relationships, when people, not necessarily y'all two, but like when people get sick, or when people are needy, or people need, or whoever in the relationship is asking for a lot, or it requires a lot. Some people in the relationship don't want to give or do all of that. How did you do it? And I know, like seriously, I know you saying God, and I know God can do it. However, no shade against God, but like, how did you wrap your mind around? She just said she would call you maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes later and say, "Hey, I want to move from this side of the couch to the other side," and you would do it. Oh, I want to touch some water. Oh, you would do it. Oh, I want to da da da. And how?
I want to take a shower. I want to get in the tub. And he figured it out. Amazing.
And I don't want to say why, because I'm like, okay, but how did you mentally and emotionally not go crazy and be like, this is ridiculous?
Yeah. Be like, girl, sit down where I put you and be done.
Because I know a lot of people would do that now. Would be like, you know what, this is too much. You know, I can't handle this. Like, how did you do it?
I love that girl.
Okay.
That was number one. Yeah, she was a friend.
Yeah.
So she's always been my friend since I met her. So it just, combination of the two. I'm helping my friend, then I'm helping my wife. So that's why I say it's never a hardship.
Now, let me also say he worked midnight to 8 in the morning. No, at that time. At that time, he worked 4 o'clock
to midnight.
Okay.
So a lot of the time, he wasn't home once the boys came home from school and the daycare parents left. It was just me and the 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it never failed. If I needed something, he was in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Or the boys would try to help.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a family ordeal. My daughter had moved by then, and it was just the 2 younger boys. And I had a friend that would come over and help me every night, make sure that I was already in the bed, because he would come and make sure that I was okay for the night. And then he would leave, which meant I was in the bed before 4:30, 5 o'clock. And there were times when it would be like, man, I'm not ready to go to bed. He said, okay, well, I'll try to get back over here. And if he couldn't, because he got stuck on a job, I'd be up till 1 o'clock, sitting in a wheelchair waiting. And then he taught me how to roll the wheelchair up and just fall forward.
Into the bed.
Because I need you to understand, when I came back home, I still did not have movement.
Right.
Yeah, I was still paralyzed from the neck down. And I say maybe that's not something we said in the beginning, but I had Guillain-Barré, and everything that it touched, it put it to sleep. So everything, my hands, my feet. I remember the doctor telling me, why are you asking her questions? If you guys just wait, her tongue is going to stop working. And then we'll do what we want to do. I remember that. And I remember thinking, I need to tell my husband not to let them do anything they want to do.
And that was when you were in the hospital?
That was when I was in the hospital. That was rough. Yeah.
So for you, that was rough, being in the hospital. For you, was that rough when she was in the hospital?
I'm glad to do it, to do my part, to be there for her. So I can't take credit for it. Even though I went through it, I was able to do whatever I did. So I guess when God got his hands on you, things just don't seem as difficult as they could be.
I think he gave us a grace for it.
Yeah.
Gave us a grace.
That's the only answer I could come up with, because if I try to look back and try to figure out, man, how you was able to do that, get off work at midnight, go to the hospital, be with her till 6 o'clock in the morning, come home, get the daycare kids. Now the day started with them.
Kids off to school.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm like, how? Like, it's kind of like, and I know, like you say, you loved her, you love her, and she was your friend first, and she's your friend. So it was like you're helping a friend. Like, how did you? And I'm just thinking, like, how did you not give up? And I'm asking this because I'm sure if there's someone out there, even if it's not a sickness, it could be just going through some type of situation with their significant other. How do they not give up on their relationship? How do they not give up on the person?
You got to first pray. Prayer would have kept us.
Yeah, I remember we would pray at the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, prayer get to do anything. Even when you don't know how to do stuff, you talk to God about it, a day or two, maybe a week, you get an answer. Okay, if you do it like this, even if it's unconventional, it'll still work.
Yeah.
Because that's the revelation, you got to do it this way.
I was thinking about the bathtub. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when I wanted to take a bath, he said, let me figure it out. So he literally took the
chest.
It's a
chest.
What's the little chest that's at the bottom of your bed?
Not an armoire.
Yeah, not an armoire, but whatever that is. He took that and he put it, because our house was not handicap accessible. So my wheelchair could only go so far.
Okay.
So he took the he took the little whatever the chest was, and bumped it up against the bathtub. And put towel or sheet or something over it. And then he took me and bumped my chair up against the chest. So one part of the chest was on the tub. My chair was on the other part. He would lift me up and sit me on the chest. And then go get in the tub and pull the sheet. And as he pulled the sheet, he pulled me.
I'm visualizing it. And you sliding.
And I'm sliding. And when I got to the tub, he would just pick me up and put me in the tub.
Creativity.
And then when I got ready to get out, he would put the sheet and it would just be the reversal. And then he would be up on me and pull it until I got back to the chair.
Man, how do y'all think y'all got that grace to be able to handle the situation? And I know, like you said, you prayed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer would be to that question. It came and it happened, and we were just able to do it.
And so, because usually I would ask the status of life, like, obviously y'all status of life but it completely changed because of the whole dynamic of what you were doing before. It changed to a whole different, being in the wheelchair, not being able to do these things, but then you still had the mindset of, hey, she asked for it, I'm trying to make it happen. Like, for those listeners out there, and for the audience, what would you say to them to encourage them if they're going through a situation to where they might be wanting to give up on their significant other for whatever they might be going through?
I say don't give up. You know, God always got a way out. You know, flesh would want you to, or even the enemy or the devil would want you to throw away what you got. Because a marriage to me is a gift from God. When you choose, like, this is the person I want to be with, this is the one you like, God, I thank you for bringing this person into my life. And so don't let side issues distract you from your main goal of being together, being able to communicate with each other. And we always had a good communication. We could talk about anything. Even while we were still friends, some of the stuff she would tell me about herself, I was like, wow, this chick really liked me.
Because she was open enough to communicate that with you.
Let me in on what I thought was personal information. And I was like, wow. So even before she even realized she was going to be my wife, I knew I had a
good friend.
Yeah.
But mind you, my mindset wasn't, I had listened to the hospital people talk about how difficult it was going to be. And my husband was the one that made the decision to bring me home. And when I came home, I was supposed to come home with help. They were going to send help. And when they got here and evaluated me, they were like, oh, you're too much of a risk. We can't do anything for you. I wanted to go to another home. I was like, Jeff, put me in a facility. There's nobody here to help you. And my boy stepped up and said, we'll help. I'm like, how you gonna help? You can't do anything. You can't lift me. You can't do. But then my nieces stepped up and they helped. And I had friends who stepped up and they helped. But my mindset wasn't to be here and to be an inconvenience to the family. Yeah, it was like.
Did you feel like you were an inconvenience?
Ooh, a lot of times.
Okay.
A lot of times. Because the boys, all of a sudden, their life had to stop. Because by the time they got home from school, he's getting ready to go to work. So then that put them on duty. And there would be times when they would go to their room and do something
Play a game.
and totally forget, oh, we supposed to be watching mama.
Mhm.
And it never failed. Jeff would just show up. And it would be like, man, I need to get out of this chair. Now, mind you, I'm in a wheelchair. I need to get out of this chair. He's like, okay, I'm only going to be here 10 minutes, but I'll put you right here and put you back in a little bit.
Mhm.
Or he picked me up and sit me in a chassis lounger and put pillows all around me because, again, my muscles didn't work.
Mhm.
So I would just
Mhm.
fall over,
Mhm.
flip and flop. And he
Right.
would prop me up, pad me around, pad things around me so I could sit up.
And
Yeah.
and most definitely, like that shows you're social because you had people helping, you had friends stepping up, you had family stepping up.
Socially, it was hard because we couldn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't take me to a restaurant and then prop me up.
Mhm.
Understand?
Mhm.
And not only did I lose the ability to walk or to use my hands or whatever, I lost the ability to know some things.
Mhm.
So I had to learn a lot of stuff all over again. One of the strangest things was I had no idea what a straw was.
Mhm.
No idea.
Mhm.
And that was something they had to teach me. A remote control to a TV was mind-boggling. Oh my God. You know the thing that makes that thing up there turn, and they would start trying to figure out what it was. I wanted
your brain and your memory.
I had no knowledge of what the color red was. No knowledge.
Well, that was a red flag altogether. Even when she was trying to learn how to walk again, if the colors in the floor would change, she wouldn't go past that line because she felt like, I don't know if she was going to fall into it.
I'm gonna fall into it. That is a hole. I don't care what you say. The street, the light, anything changed. The color changed. That was I stopped. It's like, no, come on, we aren't. No, can't do it.
Because your mind is telling you one thing.
Right.
We were at a restaurant when I realized I did not know what the color red was because I ordered, it was either the ketchup or a Shirley Temple, and the straw was red, and I was like terrified, like so scared to move. Like, what is that? He was like, what that is.
And that would happen. She would get nervous about hanging do that.
He would
Like that fear would rise up in her body.
Wanda, calm down. Calm down. It was so much. It was so much.
And as she was talking, I was remembering her recovery. As she starts to get better, she had to learn how to stand back up, how to get up. Like sometimes she would sit on the floor and watch the kids. Instead of her always teaching the kids started teaching her. She used to have little babies, and she used to see how the babies would get up and stand to their feet.
And I started mimicking.
And then she's like, oh, that's how they do that? So it started to work. She started practicing doing what she saw them do, how they was able to stand up. Even if they couldn't fully take a lot of steps, if they just wanted to get up off the floor and stand, what step they would take to stand. Then that would trigger something in her brain. Okay, I think I can do that.
Okay.
Mind you, I always thought I could do a lot of stuff.
34 years. I wanted to ask, I want to go back. How many years had y'all been married when you got sick?
Was it 4 or 5?
What
No,
year?
because the boy was like 9, so maybe about 13. Not that many?
'About 7 years.
7 years was when Isaac was born, and Isaac was 9.
Oh, y'all have been married about 16 years. Y'all got married in 90?
Mm-hmm.
So if you got married in 90 and he was born in 97
Mm-hmm.
and he was 9,
Mm-hmm.
so then that's
2005, 6, something like that.
okay. Well, about 14, 15 years. So y'all have been married a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean. So it wasn't like, it was a fresh marriage. And the reason why I was asking, but because a lot of people, they give up so quickly. Like some people don't make it past 5, 6, 7, 10.
Okay, so that happened 14 years down.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, I got my hand crushed in the printing press.
Okay.
Before we got married.
Yeah, we were engaged.
Okay.
Actually, we were engaged. Got engaged for Christmas and had my hand crushed in a printing press the first work day of the year.
Second, third.
So that was 89. And maybe, it was like the second or the third, because you're off for New Year's, and then I had to go back. So either the second or the third.
Mm-hmm.
And got my hand crushed in the printing press.
Okay.
That was, mind you, I walked around. This is my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Walked around with my left hand attached to me because it shriveled. It was one of those non-usable hands.
Okay.
And so I depended on him then for a lot.
Before you even got married.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, like this is awesome. This is really good. But how? I'm just, and I know, and I'm y'all looking like, what do you mean how? Like, because we just did it. Because I know that people these days, and I don't know if it's just I know everybody doesn't just give up that easily, but I know some people just give up that easily, quickly when things get tough, when challenges come.
Because, well, I knew she was going to be my wife.
I didn't.
Because we was attending the same church.
Uh-huh.
And when I first saw her, because I had prayed for a certain kind of woman when I used to live in Louisiana before I came to Texas. And once I saw her, I'm like, man, that's the one. She had everything I desired, except she wasn't mild speaking. She would just say whatever was on her mind, whether I liked it or not. She was straightforward, so to say. She had her own mindset. She believed she was confident in herself. She was a lot more outspoken. I was more of a quiet guy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a little rowdy, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that was going to be the one. And then one day we was at church, we was having a discussion in our
We're in a Bible study.
And it's as if I could see a light in her soul. I had never seen her with anybody else, but with her, I could see into her spirit. And then I heard she'll be a good wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that day forward, I just knew she was going to be my wife. Even she'd say, I don't like you.
Because as friends, friends don't always get along.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so, we would have some discussions. And it would be like, dude, not that I was right, but sometimes our thoughts clashed. Mm-hmm. And I would be like, let me just leave you alone because you are not where I need you to be. Mm-hmm. And so we may not talk for a day or two, but then we always came back as friends.
Okay, pause right there. How did you work through the not agreeing? Let me not say not agreeing. You said your thoughts would clash sometimes. Mm-hmm. How did y'all work through that? Because I know some people have relationships and their thoughts don't line up with each other. They go separate ways sometimes.
It didn't matter what she said. Because once I heard that in my spirit, I was just determined you were gonna be the one. So if it wasn't today, maybe tomorrow. Steve Brooker used to say, "Don't wear you down."
But once y'all got in the relationship and in the marriage, like you're saying, like she's more outspoken, bold, and you're more mild mannered, and y'all
Yeah.
jailed. But how do you not?
Because she helped make me stronger. Because I was, I can't say weak, but I just had some areas in my life where I needed to step up, be stronger than what I was.
Okay.
Be more outspoken. Because if we had some type of argument or disagreement, I would always lose. Because I wasn't in a, I don't want to say confrontational, but my discussion was more low key. And she was like, I'm in your face. This is how it is. And I'm like, oh God, what am I doing this moment? So I had to grow. She helped build me up, I would say. I wouldn't say opposite attract. Yeah, so she helped me to be stronger. And now we have a good spot where we support one another. We feed off of each other. And sometimes when we decide to do things, we both decide to do things the same way. And now that even that we have kids that are growing up, we're
grown.
Yeah, grown now. And to go back and to try to be an influence in their life and teach them or to show them, man, you still gonna have to depend on God. Even though things ain't going right for you, things ain't going the way you want them to go, God is still God. You still got to trust him. He gonna bring it through you. I don't know what your purpose is or what he got planned for you, but all of the struggles that you may be going through, don't give up trusting. Don't stop believing, oh man, God ain't listening. God ain't hearing me. God don't love me. When you look at what your parents got or how they have developed, and you want to be on that level, but for some reason, things ain't going right. Things ain't materializing like you thought they would or should. Don't stop praying. Don't stop doing what you know to do.
And an exciting episode. And hopefully someone out there has gotten something from this amazing couple and how they overcame this mess of theirs to make it into a message that no matter what you're going through, especially when you take those vows, it does say sickness and health. And so every day is not going to always be sunshine, and you have to be able to, learn to pray and let God help you get through it. And as we close, any final words for the listeners?
Trust God. Always put him in the center of whatever your relationship is. Even if you and a spouse ain't total an agreement yet, don't throw in the towel. Sit back, talk to God, and God will work on that other person's heart. And before you know it, you'll be like, okay, we can do this. He'll give you strength.
Also, we had a motto prior to getting married. And whenever we get into backed into a wall, like don't know which way to go, or it's a challenge that we feel that's a little bit more than what we can handle. Our motto gives us a little oomph.
Yes.
And the motto is one for the other.
Both for God.
That's the motto.
Kept us together.
One for the other.
One
for the other.
One for the other. And both for God.
And both for God. Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna write that down. One for the other, and both for God. And we're gonna close on that. This is Tracey D. Armstrong with What's Your M.E.S.S? And I like to close with this. If you want to stay sad, live in the past. If you want to be anxious and worried, keep thinking about your future. But if you want to be happy, think about your present and be grateful for the things that you have. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye bye.